Today on the Topping Show, Starbucks fires a woman for being white and now must pay her millions. Trump promises to purge the deep state. Shiloh Jackson attacks the Second Amendment. More businesses flee San Francisco. Stellantis is still debating Tesla chargers. Oracle breaking records for their stock. Kava successfully launches their IPO. Temu wants to challenge Amazon.com. And JP Morgan settles Epstein victims for $270 million. All that and much, much more on The Topping Show. Thank you for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and service company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you use a little assistance, you can reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Now, going on to the business blunder of the day, you have JP Morgan Chase paying $290 million to the Epstein victims. Epstein victims being Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this is from a class action lawsuit brought by the victims of Epstein. Epstein was a JP Morgan client from 1998 to 2013. And he was kept even after being arrested in 2006 on prostitute-related charges and incidents with children. I'm trying to think of how to not get this video blacklisted on YouTube. Pretty much the most heinous, disgusting act anyone could commit in society. He did, and he actually profited off of that and facilitated that service for the most morally vacuous people on the planet. And the JP Morgan said, yeah, you're our kind of customer, we're going to keep you. Ironically, or hilariously, or just really weirdly, you had Kanye West recently have a huge mental breakdown and say some disgusting anti-Semitic things. And the rumor is he had about $1 billion in assets at Chase, and they kicked Kanye West out. So you can perform the most deprived acts of humanity on children and be a customer of JP Morgan Chase, but if you're Kanye West, they kick you out for saying things, which should say something about the priorities of society as well as the banking industry, or that bank specifically. Perhaps this belongs in the culture section as well. But interestingly enough, you have coming out a couple of days ago, this is one of the largest claims the U.S. bank, and it is about potentially 100 victims. And it was led by a former ballet dancer known as Jane Doe, who said that Epstein abused them when they were young girls and teens. Again, the most morally vacuous person on the planet was Jeffrey Epstein, I believe, or perhaps the people funding him and facilitating how he magically was wealthy overnight, apparently. Now, Rutgers, the article that I referenced in here, they claim that Epstein killed himself at age 66 in Manhattan jail cell in August 2019, which is the biggest lie in history, perhaps. Keep in mind, this jail cell, you had 2 cameras that magically broke down for reasons. The security guards weren't there at the time because reasons. By the way, the security guards, they had no penalties for that as well. They basically got a plea and, again, completely abdicated all responsibility for reasons. And he also was allowed to keep shoelaces and I believe even a belt, even though he apparently tried to commit suicide weeks before. Spoiler alert, they don't allow you to keep those things in prison. And of course, when the doctors look at him, you had a doctor come out and go, yeah, he was strangled to death. So the biggest lie in modern history is probably people saying he killed himself. Yeah, he didn't. And people think this is a huge business blunder, perhaps more of a moral blunder, but so JP Morgan has to pay this $290 million fine, which sounds like a lot of money. Relatively speaking, it is. It's more than most people see in a lifetime. But keep in mind, in terms of the total assets that JP Morgan has, they have $3.66 trillion. Not billion, trillion dollars in assets. And they recently just bought out First Republic Bank, one of the largest banks as well, them being over on the West Coast, JP Morgan being headquartered in New York City, or somewhere in New York. But to hire a client like Epstein and have him as a client at your bank and continue to do business with him even after, this is astonishing, publicly he was charged with files for the child abuse, and they let him out of prison on I don't know if it's good behavior or it was just an ankle bracelet tracker, but he got out and they still did business with him after he was convicted. That's got to be the moral. That's got to be the moral blunder, or the most morally vacuous thing I've heard in business for quite some time. And it goes without saying, that is the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone again for taking the time to tune in today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps the channel grow and develop. I've noticed that every time there's more and more comments, there's a lot more views. I greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone to stay safe, fight the good fight.